Hey, we're glad you're back again to All Things Apostolic. Yesterday, we talked a little bit about excellence and about that we actually need to think about our own ministries. And that goes for any of us, anybody that's saved, anybody that's received the Holy Ghost, anybody that's been baptized in Jesus' name, anybody that's got a burden to do something for God. The idea of excellence is so important. I want to take just a few minutes to talk about the excellence idea today. The reason I want to do that is because a lot of people never think much about this. They know that they enjoy going to places where excellence is exhibited, but they don't think about it too much in their own life. For example, we like to go to restaurants that are excellent, especially people like me. And when you go to an excellent restaurant and they have a nice white tablecloth and they have great silverware and it's all set up just right and everything is structured and the way they bring the meal is with professionalism and the way they cook the meal is with the highest levels of excellence. Unfortunately, we can't eat at these places every day because you would go broke. Well, I guess some of you can. But anyway, the fact is that excellence is appreciated. There's a whole list in Consumer Reports about the cars that are created most excellent. And there's a list that this brand of car has less trouble spots in it than this one. And so this one's number 2 and this is number 3. And they number all the way down to 174 cars usually, or 175 cars. And the car I drive, incidentally, is considered to be a really, really nice car, but it doesn't usually come very high on the list of which ones are the most excellent. However, I did find out on the list of cars that the difference between number 1 and number 175 is probably at the most 3 or 4%. So, in other words, new cars in America are all excellent. But this idea of excellence goes throughout our life. For example, my wife and I, we decided when we build a home, we're going to build a home. We may not be able to build the biggest home in the world. We may not be able to get everything we want into our home, but we're going to build it with excellence. It's going to be a place that when you walk in it, you know you are in a place that was done correctly. And we talked about the decoration of the home, the fact that we did know something about decoration, but we were not professionals at decoration. And the professional knows what colors go together, what shapes go together, what geometric shapes clash and which ones fit together, the symmetry of how furniture is placed. All of those things have to do with excellence when you come to an abode or a place which has furniture in it. And so when we built the new church, we could have built it for 20% less. Now, when you're talking about $15, $16 million, 20% is a lot of money. We could have built it for 20% less. But in California, the circumstances where we were, we decided we want to build it with the highest excellence that we possibly can. So we went with what's called tilt-up. The walls are cement about so thick, and they pour them in big slabs on the ground, and then they get a big crane and they tilt them up, which is why it's called tilt-up. They're so heavy that as they set on the foundation, they're hooked together and put together with special fasteners, but it becomes a building that is virtually impermeable, and it will be there, God only knows how many, perhaps thousands of years, if the Lord tarries, or whatever's going to happen in thousands of years. So, will we need it 1,000 years from now? Well, I doubt it. But the idea of excellence, the idea of let's put something here that I don't know if there's a right way to say we can be proud of, but let's put something here that we feel good about. When we drive up and see it, we enjoy it. We say, this is, God helped us to do this. And so many times we have people that say the church is beautiful. This is well done. So we come to the subject of excellence and our lives, and this is a big subject to me. In fact, my personal mission in life is the preservation and advancement of the apostolic movement, because I believe that the apostolic movement has the key core components to human life being able to be lived at its fullest. I do not believe a human can live their life successfully at the highest level if they do not have their spirit ignited with life through being born again, through the infilling of the Spirit, just like they received in the Bible in Acts 2 and 8 and 10 and 19 and many other places. The whole New Testament is Spirit-filled people. And so the human spirit being enlightened and ignited and given life, without getting into all the theological part of that, I believe that's core. So after that happens to us, doesn't it seem to you like it is a shabby waste to allow a life whose spirit has been transformed and now stands poised with the potential for greatness, but never goes there because they are in an environment that never encouraged that, or they're with people that are afraid of that, or that have never even considered what is the potential of a human being? Oh, that people don't ever even think of this is a distressing thing. So, because for our master, don't you think we ought to be wanting to do our best? So anyway, this is the impetus behind Hope Corps, and this is the impetus behind all kinds of things that we've been involved with in initiating, and Wilson University, and the Premier Study Bible, and Apostolic Theologic books, and on the things go. So the question here that we talked about yesterday and that we're talking about today is, what about you? What about your life? What do you know about the Bible? The greatest book there ever was. The book that centuries of people gave their lives to be able to even read it, and many of them never got the chance. And you've got it laying everywhere, and you don't know much about it. But you could. You could if you just simply signed up for Wilson University for some of its basic classes, for its CERT programs. We've got a bachelor's program that starts on May the 1st. The application deadline is May the 1st. We're not selling education here. I'm just saying, why don't you take advantage of things that can give you the opportunity to become the full person you can become? I mean, I'm not just about education, but I am about excellence, and I am about us giving God our very best. Well, our very best will never get there just by praying and saying, I want to give you my very best. Our very best gets there by us taking the raw materials that God has given us and developing those and letting Him help us develop them through understanding of the Word. That's where our very best comes in. Well, I've quit talking and started preaching, I guess. But I feel very strong about these things. And there's no reason that you can't do this. You need a spanking if you're not doing it. Well, I'm not sure about that part, but we ought to be doing it. We ought to be thinking of excellence. And I think you can become very successful without ever reaching close to your world-class excellence. I'm not talking about just being successful. We're talking about world-class excellence. We're talking about things that you can't get anywhere else except setting down and going through. And when they explode out of that book called the Bible into your life, they will explode with such dynamism that you will be saying, why didn't I do this a long time ago? Now, the way you find out about how we might help you do that is you go to wilsonuniversity.org. And you say, tell me some things. Tell us a little bit about yourself. We'll do our best to help you. You say, well, why don't you advertise for us to go other places? Well, if you can find some places to go and get what I'm talking about in the context of excellence that we're talking about, the emphasis on your life becoming excellent. If you can get that somewhere else, then have at it. But I know you can get it here because we're interested in you. But we're not interested in you, in the undeveloped you. We're interested in the best you that you can be, and God's interested in the best. So I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take for him to say "well done" real loud, but I want him to say "well done" real loud. I don't want him to just say, "well done." You scrunched in by the skin of your teeth. I don't want that. I want him to know that I gave him my best. I'm not going to give my best to be a professional success in something that cannot be connected to his kingdom. Not interested in that. Not interested. Had opportunities for that in several areas. Not interested in that. Interested in giving my best for my master. So what about you? Well, anyway. So let me tell you about something that's free that's coming up April the 8th. It is the Wilson University Spring Colloquium. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. It's at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on April the 8th. It's a colloquium in which Dr. Steve Allen will be the moderator, and Dr. Johnny King and Dr. Tim Merritt, all of these men, highly educated men. Dr. Johnny King will be speaking, and Dr. Tim Merritt will be speaking. They'll be speaking about some areas that they have done intense research that's way beyond what most people ever even think of doing, but they have done this research in areas in the kingdom of God that will be of interest to you. And so you can do this. This is put on by the Center for Apostolic Studies, called CAPS. CAPS, Center for Apostolic Pentecostal Studies. Got it. Center for Apostolic Pentecostal Studies, which is comes out of Wilson University. So you're going to want to do that. Also, the Research Scholarship and Creative Activities Committee is involved with that. But anyway, it's for you. It's free. Get up and get with it and enjoy it. You can enjoy it on April the 8th at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you're back east, it'll be a little later for you, which is cool on Saturday morning. And we want you to enjoy that. Thank you for being with me today.